Okay, class 10. This is session 2 of the Midnight Visitor. This is where we stopped. I think this section I did not show you too well, so you may pause your video here if you are writing any bit of this. Okay, this is the first part, this is your second, and this is your third. All right, now we'll continue from here. So we stopped at the point where this man, Mr. Max, is armed, definitely, but he is still not confident about whether he'll be able to solve his purpose here or not. He is definitely underconfident just because of Mr. Ozable's extreme intelligence and exceptionally brilliant presence of mind. Both of them know each other. This is also very evident from the dialogues exchanged between the two of them. Okay, now we continue. Ozable moved to an armchair and sat down heavily. I'm going to raise the devil with the management this time, and you can bet on it, he said grimly. Okay, now he just shows that he's a little disappointed with a certain development. Okay, we'll get to know a little later what exactly that is. This is the second time in a month that somebody has got into my room through that nuisance of a balcony. Fowler's eyes went to the single window of the room. It was an ordinary window against which now the night was pressing blackly. Okay, so this is precisely the window that we are talking about. So he says he's a little disappointed with how the structuring and the functioning of his particular room takes place. He has been complaining to the management that the balcony has to not be so accessible to the strangers and the outsiders. But they haven't done anything about it, and that is the reason why from the balcony taking support people rise up to this sixth floor, and they are very easily able to through the balcony enter into my room. So he is a little unhappy about it. Okay, now we'll get to know what exactly he means by that. Fowler's eyes went to the single window of the room. It was an ordinary window against which now the night against I'm on this line against which now the night was pressing blackly. Balcony? Max said, with a rising inflection. No, a passkey. I did not know about the balcony. It might have saved me some trouble had I known. Okay, so over here we get to know that Max did not actually enter from the balcony. He says, okay, there was a balcony also. If I knew about this balcony, I would have saved myself from being in so much of trouble. Because what he did was he picked up the main key from the reception area. Remember, Ozable is living in a hotel. Okay, so he picked up the passkey, that is the main key from the reception area, and from, of course, that included a lot of risk. And from there, he opened Ozable's room and entered. Okay, so he is saying, I wouldn't have taken so much of risk had I known that there's a balcony behind and it's so easily accessible. Alright, so we get to know that it was the pass key through which he entered the room. It's not my balcony, Ozable said with extreme irritation. It belongs to the next apartment. He glanced explanatorily at Fowler. You see, he said, this room used to be a part of a large unit, and the next room, through that door there, used to be the living room that had a balcony which extends under my window here. Okay, so he's basically trying to say that because it's like an extended balcony, it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to the house or the room that is exactly next to my room, and people can very easily climb to that balcony, have access to that room, climb to that balcony, and they can very easily enter my room as well because the balcony is sort of extended. Okay, so he's irritated about that construction. You can get into it from the empty room two doors down, and somebody did last month. The management promised to block it off, but they haven't. Max glanced at Fowler, who was standing stiffly not far from Ozable, and waved the gun with a commanding gesture. Please sit down, he said. We have a wait of half an hour, I think. Half an hour wait for what? For the reports to come. 31 minutes, Oswald said moodily. The appointment was for 12:30. Okay, so what is the time right now? I've written over here as per calculation. You may understand how much time, what's the time at that point of time. 21 minutes, Oswald said moodily. The appointment was for 12:30. I wish I knew how you learned about the report, Max. Okay, the little spy smiled evilly. And we wish we knew how you people got the report. But no harm had been done. I will get it back tonight. What is that? Who's at the door? Okay, now this is Max's dialogue. I'm saying I have written it over here because so in order to avoid confusion for you people. Now, suddenly, when he is talking, both of them are, trying to have the better of each other through words. Both of them are passing indirect, sarcastic remarks to each other. And then there's a sudden doorbell. Okay, the doorbell rings, and of course, who's going to be the most scared? It is definitely Max who'll be scared. So as soon as the doorbell rings, he cuts short his dialogue, and he asks who's at the door. Fowler jumped at the sudden knocking at the door. Oswald just smiled. That will be the police, he said. I thought that such an important paper as the one we are waiting for should have a little extra protection. I told them to check on me to make sure everything was alright. Okay, so Max is now furthermore scared because he gets to know through Oswald that it's the police who's knocking at the door, because he had told the police that since the papers that are coming to me are so exceptionally important, I would require your security. So, in order to assure me that security, keep checking on me every now and then. This is what Oswald says. Okay, now let's see. Max bit his lip nervously. The knocking was repeated. What will you do now, Max? If I do not answer the door, they will enter anyway. The door is unlocked, and they will not hesitate to shoot. Mac's face was black with anger as he backed swiftly towards the window. He swung a leg over the sill. Okay, this is how he is doing it. He is angry and he swung his leg over the sill, and he's also threatening Oswald that, you better ask them to go away, and I'm right here in the balcony. You better ask the police to go away, and as soon as they go away, I'm going to re enter your room and I'm going to take away the papers. Okay, so the game is not over yet. That is what he's trying to express to him. Max's face was black with anger as he backed swiftly towards the window. He swung a leg over the sill. Send them away, he warned. I will wait on the balcony. Send them away or I'll shoot and take my chances. The knocking at the door became louder and a voice was raised. Mr. Oswald, Mr. Oswald. Okay, now who's at the door we'll get to know in the next page, and all the suspense will also break in the next page. Now you can pause your video here in order to write. Okay, this bit. And then you have this bit, which is not too much, and then the final part. Okay, what I've written here, up, what does mirror image, okay, up over here, the star, it actually means for this part. Okay, I've written here down and I've written here up. So what I've underlined over here, the explanation of this is written here. Alright, now the knocking happens and Mr. Oswald, somebody is calling out to him. Keeping his body twisted so that his gun still covered the fat man and his guest, the man at the window grasped the frame with his free hand to support himself. Then he swung his other leg up and over the windowsill. Okay, so this is how he behaves. He is talking to them, he is warning them, and he is not looking out of the window. Now, most of you must have guessed. Now, if he is not looking out of the window, is he really aware of whether the balcony is actually there or not? Does he even know that the balcony exists or not? He's not even looking there. Okay, his face is turned to the two men and he is pointing his gun also at them, and as simultaneously he is putting both his legs out. So what if there is no balcony? Now let's see. The doorknob turned. Swiftly Max pushed with his left hand to free himself from the sill and dropped to the balcony. And then, as he dropped, he screamed once shrilly. Okay, he screamed because as soon as he dropped off the window sill, there was actually no balcony. And when he jumped, he actually jumped from the 6th floor right to the right to the ground. The door opened and a waiter stood there with a tray, a bottle and two glasses. Here is the drink you ordered for when you returned, he said, and set the tray on the table, deftly uncorked the bottle and left the room. Okay, so who was at the door? And Oswald was definitely sure that there will be a door knock because he had placed an order for drinks. Okay, so it was actually the waiter at the door. He was very much aware of the fact that it's the waiter, but this was just a plot building that he had done in order to scare away Max. And over here, when he talks about the poor management, the devil of the management, and the balcony, his plan had actually started here itself, because now we get to know that there was no balcony at all. Okay, so it was the waiter who had come. The door opened, and it was the waiter who stood there with the tray. White faced Fowler stared at him, but he stammered, "The police." There were no police, Oswald sighed. Only Henry, the waiter, whom I was expecting. But won't that man out on the balcony? Fowler began. "No," said Oswald, "he won't return. You see, my young friend, there is no balcony." Okay, so the loud shrill that happened was basically because there was no balcony at all, and as soon as he jumped off the windowsill, he actually fell down from the sixth floor. So his plan worked, and even though the detective does not look like a detective, the detective does fulfill all the criterias of being an exceptionally perfect detective. Okay, and I think Fowler's purpose is also solved. Fowler came here to have a story plot, a plot for his next story. So, do you think he got a plot for his next story? Yes, this entire thing that he witnessed was his next story. Okay, so his purpose solved. All right, this is going to be your writing bit, this part, and then this last part. Okay, I hope you understood the climax. So from here itself, he had started building up his plot, talking about the balcony. Okay, because there was no balcony ever there. So this was his beginning of the plan against Max. Okay, then as we approach towards the doorbell, he was sure that the doorbell is going to ring because he had placed an order at the reception about drinks. He had a guest, Fowler, so he wanted two glasses and a drink for himself. But as soon as the bell rang, this also comes in his presence of mind, that as soon as the doorbell rang or as soon as there was a knock at the door, he instantly said that it's the police, because it's only through the police that Max is going to get scared. Okay, so he instantly says it's the police. Of course, ringing of the doorbell or the knocking of the door at the exact time was a bonus for him. That was just as if his luck supported him. All right, so the balcony was never there. His plan began here, and the doorbell just strengthened his plan furthermore. And out of the fear of the police, he stepped out, threatening and warning the two of them, not looking down. And as soon as he jumped off the windowsill, assuming that there will be a balcony, there was actually no balcony there, and he fell down to maybe serious wounds or fell down to his death. That is immaterial for us. Over here we just get to know that Fowler's purpose is also solved of a story, and he did fulfill some part of his fancy, some part of his imagination, that a detective's life is always full of thrill on a daily basis. Okay, and on the other hand, Ozabel also, though he did not look like a detective, though he lived a very simple life, his intelligence and his presence of mind did fulfill the criteria of being an excellent detective. Okay, so please pause your video and you may take down the notes as well. Your book should exactly have all this that you see in my book. Okay, I hope you have understood the lesson. I'll see you around in the next. Thank you.